Hey, how are you doing? Welcome back to part two of the six-part tutorial on illustration with me, Ed Reynolds. This week we're going to be drawing 3D shapes, cylinder, cube and triangle, and we'll be exploring these shapes in terms of where the light hits and where the shade happens. And it gives us a really good understanding into the formation of very basic and simple objects about the place. And these are almost like the foundation stones in understanding formation, shape and tone. And when you know these things, it helps you have a really good understanding in creating really good compositions, be it in painting, drawing or illustration. So get yourself a pencil and a sheet of paper and let's start drawing. Okay, the what we're using for this week's class are just a sharp pencil. Always good to sharpen with a blade as opposed to a sharpener. It's my personal preference. You just get some nice definition in the lines. And the uni pen, the water and fade proof pen that I like to use, this is really nice because it gives you a good line to finish, and you don't get any bleeds or you don't get any wash when it comes to putting inks or watercolor or any other water-based medium over the illustration. So yeah, these are the two I always use. So look, a pencil will do this job. Just don't be worried about what you have and what you haven't got. Just whatever you can find. If you can find a pencil, you can sharpen it, you're good to go. So, and just I've got some strong cartridge paper here that I like to use also. Okay, and as I said last week, if it means drawing on the back of a cereal box, on the inside of a cereal box, or on the inside of an old cardboard box, or old paper just flipped over, old print paper, go for it. You know, these are just exercises and lessons. So what we draw in these classes, we don't need to keep or to be precious about having in a frame or having in a nice, having it on good paper or the like. It's just, these are rough, these are exercise drawings. So it's about just making a mark, as I said from last week. So we're going to start with the cube, or a square, as the fella says. I don't know if you remember doing this from school, but it's one of my earliest memories of drawing 3D shapes and understanding what a 3D shape was. And it's just drawing the two squares, cubes across each other, attaching the corner lines here, and then having yourself a 3D cube, a see-through 3D cube. Many other ways to draw this, many other angles to come from. This was another way we used to do it. This is maybe more triangular, depending on the size. Bringing these lines down here from the corners, because these lines will always determine the shape and form of your drawing. Okay, so this is a little bit more triangular. Now I'll bring these down. It has to be the same distance, same size line there as this here to make it a perfect cube. So I'm just going by eye now. I'm not going by real measurement. And so look, here we come. Okay, so this is a square cube. This is a cube. Okay, let's do a cube let's do a cube from a different angle. And I'm not going to make this one 3D, okay? But I can just I'm going to draw really light lines here, okay? Just to give me my shape and tell me where it is. Okay, so this is the square, the cube from another angle. And you like to go over these with the pen. And I'm going to put some shading on here. Again, if you don't have a pen, it's okay. The pencil will suffice. Okay, so I'm just going to outline the lines that give me the shape, the 3D shape of this cube. I'm not going to go and do the inside lines. Okay, and this is kind of looking at the cube from a different angle. Just kind of looking down at the cube. And once you understand these shapes and how to construct these shapes, it really does help in leaps and bounds the process of constructing really effective illustrations. You know, as I said earlier, like townscapes, cityscapes, life drawings, anything where there is form and shape. So the light is coming from here, okay? Let's say the light has been shone from this side, from full frontal, okay? So we're going to get a shadow at that side. We're going to get a lighter shadow on the top as well, okay? And same here. I'm going to have the light coming in on this side here, okay? So that's going to be brighter. And this is going to be shadow, shade. It's a good thing to know. If you squint, if you can figure out where the light comes from on any object that you decide to draw or to paint or to sketch, once you understand where the light is coming from, it can only really come from one source. That's why it's always best to paint in natural light, not overhead light where the light comes, it kind of surrounds an object. It's always good to just have, to read the source, the direction for where the light comes from. And it hits this kind of shape. When you can do that, you squint and you break down where the shade is, where the shadow is, and what's left, what's the brightest part in the illustration. And that's the part that's taking the light the most, where the light is hitting most. And the light hits from here, the full frontal again, this part, because it's not hitting it direct, that's going to be in the shade, okay? I'll just do one or two other shapes or other cube shapes and explore the light and shade on them and the point of view and where you're looking at this from. So that's looking down. We're looking down onto this one. This one, say we're looking at full frontal, but from a slightly different angle. And this one is that's kind of fading off into the distance. What we will explore in these tutorials, in the later tutorials, is perspective. I don't know if any of you there have heard or know much about perspective. It helps you construct shapes and landscapes, anything. It's just a great understanding in knowing how to know where lines are going. This is the vanishing point here. And when these lines fade off, it gives you accuracy when it comes to making these kind of shapes here with the cube, okay? So that is looking from another angle. We're not looking from overhead, we're not looking from directly below, we're kind of looking, you know, nearly like street view. Okay? And if the light is coming from here, if the light is coming from this side, this is going to be in the shade, okay? So, and another one would be, say, the last of the cube drawings might be, say, an even square. And looking just where we see less of the side. And that's from kind of ground level. That's what looking, say, from head on. Light is hitting here. And then we're going to have the shade here. So it's worth exploring shapes like this. Get a cardboard box out. Rip it open, pull out the flaps, just look at it and draw it from different angles. I mean, you could spend a good while getting many shapes and many points of view, many angles from the box itself. So it's always a good exercise. Once you, as I said to you earlier, once you can do this, once you understand this, it makes it just much easier when it comes to to building a really good picture. Okay, that's the cube. I'm going to look at cylindrical shape. Okay, the cylindrical shape I really like to do because it's a very, I'll just begin with the pencil. It's a very interesting one because you can start with, I mean, toilet roll holders. Let me short your toilet roll this past while. If it ever came to drawing toilet rolls, well, this is the way to do it, okay? Here, you've got two spheres and you've got two lines parallel to each other, okay? And this is the outside of one side of the cylinder, okay? And then here, right? So if we're looking, if the light is coming from this side, this is going to be bright, and the shade is going to be in here. You know what I mean? That line will be thinner. And there's often, if you see, you know what, I'll just draw this pen for this one straight on. You can see a cylinder from a different angle. Sometimes you're walking down the street and you see the builders out and they're laying pipes or the like. Well, stop and look the next time and study the formation and shape of these objects. Okay, so the light hits in here. It's going to be darker. And a nice way to do it too is to space out lines when you're doing, especially with the cylinder. It's nice to just space out the lines to illustrate the fade in the light and shadow. Okay, so that's the cylinder, and there's the upside of a cylinder like this. Again, sphere drawing, two lines down, and a sphere drawing at the bottom. Okay, continuing these lines. I'm going to do a nice little rim around this, like a chimney pot almost. Okay. Yeah, keeping a steady hand, keeping your lines constant, like we said last week. Try and draw the lines from one end to the other without doing that stop, start, stop, start. Just keep them full on. And the light coming from here, we would have the dark with the shadow in there, and a little bit of shadow on the top. Okay. Maybe a little bit of shade at the sides. In fact, it would be a little bit of shade at the sides. Okay, and sometimes for these exercises, I think I said earlier on, it's nice to draw the surface area, the angle from where we are looking at these objects. Now they can be there. They can be anywhere, but just, well, you're gonna have to make sure you do them in the right place. I mean, this could be like above, but it's always nice to have the line cut through the shape as opposed to the line being here or the line being to be below. You understand? Likewise here, I'll have this slightly higher up. And I'll put this here. That's the surface area. Have this just above here, maybe that's to the edge. Okay, so there is the cylinder and the cube so far. Like if you have any objects at home, I mean, there are no shortages. You've got cups at home, you've got jars, You've got toilet roll inserts. I'm going to do a little cup here because we said cup. Just practice. Take them out from the cupboard and just practice. I'll do a little saucer around this too. And what's nearer to you is the greater distance, and what's further away is a lesser distance. Okay, remember that. It's one of the points in perspective to understand what's nearer is larger, obviously, and what's further away is smaller. And again, the light is kind of hitting. If we're looking at this full frontal, it's going to be hitting this. Yeah, we're going to have the shadow in there, and a little bit of shade from around that side, a little bit of shadow from around that side, and just something to let you know that it's a 3D shape. And a little bit of shadow behind the handle. Again, I'm going to put the surface there of the table. Just give it a little corner because I can. Right, so that's the cube, the cylinder, and now we will move on to the triangular, to the pyramid. This is an interesting one because you can have, let me start this with a pencil. You can have it begin with a square or a cube. Okay, all four sides are equal. Lines meet. This is looking down. We're looking down at this triangle, okay? And we're going to put the light coming from front. Okay, so it'll be dark there, dark behind, there'll be shade, and a little bit less shade to the right hand side, okay? And you can see how you can vary shade by spacing out the lines when putting the shade in, okay? So a little bit more black, a bit more shade, and they'll have closer lines together. And I'll just do less of a shade here so that these lines be spaced out, okay? Does that help? Okay, and we can look at that from a different angle. We can look at it from, let's see, if I do a triangle shape like this, and we can do the line up like that, another line up like there, and over this one, up to the point, and then this. Angle looks a bit funny, but you kind of get the gist of where it is we're coming from. We're just looking at it from a different angle. Always good to look at these shapes, like everything else, from a different angle, okay? You know, I need to space this out to be the right. Just, yeah, go back on myself here, in there. This goes in, that by distance, that line there is shorter. Join those two, okay? So that's like you're hovering above the pyramids almost. Light is coming from this angle. Yeah, more shade behind here, almost a darker shading behind at the very back, because some of the light's going to trickle through to this side, and a little bit of the light might get through to this side too. So just less of shade. Okay, so I would say to you, just play around with these shapes. look at them from many different angles. It's really worth exploring. Yeah, just the different angles, like in any shape or any subject or any object. It's really worth doing. And I'm just going to conclude this by doing maybe some random shapes, okay? Like this, for example. We can bring the lines down, keeping these lines, while keeping the ones at the forefront, well, just maybe the ones at the front are a little longer, depending on how far back you want them to go, okay? So we kind of map out the shape that's above us. We map out this shape here also, okay? Just keeping similar distances and height and sizes. This is further away, so it's going to be less, okay? That height is less. And again, I just want to go over this first with the pen. You can squiggle any shape. Just play around. There are no rules, but just try and understand the basic, the structure and the formation of the object that it is that you're drawing, and have fun in making up these little doodles, because okay, we say we've light hitting here, okay? You're gonna get a little bit of, we want to show where these curves are, okay? Spread out this, it's almost like a guitar shape. A little bit of light there. This is bright, and where the curve happens, the shapes, the form changes, so you're gonna have a little bit of shade behind there, and you're gonna have shading in around that side. And last but not least, we're going to have a line behind here, okay? We haven't made up a name for this shape yet, but you understand. Just do any squiggle you like, and you can make it a 3D drawing with your shape in the right place. Okay guys, I hope that's of benefit to you. I hope it helps you understand the ways and means you can draw very simple basic 3D shapes and understand how they should look. Okay, thank you. See you next week.